Good evening. I would like to call the Infrastructure Committee meeting for the Town of Lincoln for Wednesday, April 11th, 2018 to order. Roll call. We have currently all members of the Infrastructure Committee meeting except Mary Easton, who is coming. She's just delayed at another event. She will be joining us shortly. Councillor McPherson, Councillor McMillan, Councillor Pachariva. To my left, Director Graham. To my right, our Acting Director of Corporate Services and Clerk, Julie Kirkopoulos. Kirkolos. Thank you, Mr. CAO. To Councillor Pachariva's right, our CAO, Mike Kirkopoulos. On the back bench, Carrie Beattie, Senior Communications Advisor. Walter Neubauer, our Manager of Technical Services. Thank you. Just want to acknowledge and recognize the people from the public and a couple of our active Transportation Committee members that are joining us this evening. Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, do any members have any changes to the order of business detailed in the agenda? So we'll jump right into a delegation this evening. I'd like to recognize and welcome Ron Tripp, our Commissioner of Public Works, and Carolyn Riel, Director of Transportation from the region of Niagara, to provide information in a presentation about the Niagara Region Public Works initiatives within the Town of Lincoln. Welcome, Commissioner and Director.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, for having us here. Certainly appreciate here joining you and sharing some information. I guess the desire was expressed by your CAO, Mr. Kirkopoulos, to come and share an update on work that is underway with the region here in Lincoln, as well as stuff that's forecast, as well as with Mr. Graham. There seemed to be a primary focus on transportation projects, and we're going to highlight those through a presentation. And I just wanted to introduce Ms. Carolyn Riel, who you did as well. She's our Director of Transportation. She's been with us for just over a year with the region. I think it's just over a year in one role previously, but now as the Director. Ms. Riel grew up in Niagara and has now returned. She was working in a very accomplished career in the GTA, most recently with York Region and the rapid transit system there. So she brings a wealth of experience and expertise back to Niagara, and we're quite pleased, happy to have her. She's going to provide a presentation on transportation initiatives, as that's the portfolio she's responsible for. I can certainly highlight some other areas in public works initiatives to look forward to here in Lincoln, or specific to Lincoln. And then we'll go certainly open to any questions that the committee might have and do our best to answer them. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm pleased to be here. And first, I wanted to say a thank you to David Graham, Director of Public Works, and Mike, the CEO, as well, for reaching out to both Ron and I to come here tonight. As Ron mentioned, I'm new with the region, so I wanted to take this opportunity to come and meet everybody and to talk a little bit about the partnership and collaboration that I truly feel will make us all successful if we work together with the municipalities from the regional standpoint. So the presentation tonight, I thought it was an opportunity for us to talk about the collaboration, and I wanted to talk about some of the completed projects to start off with. It shows, is the presentation up or? No. Oh, sorry. No, that's good. I didn't realize it didn't pop up.
We're having some IT issues.
Is it on the screens up?
The screens are on.
Sure, no problem.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
If it doesn't work, they always have the hard copy, which I provided them tonight.
Okay.
So I apologize.
No worries.
Chair, I'll just mention, I was at a meeting earlier today at the City of Niagara Falls, and we had some difficulties as well. It was the CAO of Niagara Falls that actually fixed the problem.
Well, see what I can show. Our CO is wearing two hats. He is the deputy clerk.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. Oh, okay, perfect.
So we're obviously experiencing some IT difficulties. We've got someone photocopying some hard copies for the people in the audience, so those will be coming forward. Okay.
Sure, okay. So I thought it was important today to come in front of the committee to talk about some of the more recent completed projects, because from my perspective, this shows the level of commitment of the region and the investment they're making in the town of Lincoln, as well as it shows the partnership and the collaboration working with the staff on delivering a lot of those projects. And then I'm going to move into the upcoming projects, targeting the ones that were approved through 2018, and then also talking a little bit about the 5-year outlook, again, with conversations that have been happening between the municipality and the region with regards to how we're forecasting together major initiatives and working to align ourselves with regards to delivering those successfully together. So I just wanted to make mention that we will be moving into the capital budget process very soon at the region. And what's important with regards to this slide here is when we're talking about the capital transportation programs, we break them down into 4 major areas. One is network expansion, and why these are important is I'll be talking about projects that we've completed under these categories as well as ones that will be upcoming. So when we're talking about network expansion, we're talking about increased lane capacity. So this has to do with the simple example around development, increase with obviously density in certain areas. So it has to do with the increasing of lanes. It can include new road constructions, which deal with sidewalks, curb and gutter, active transportation, complete streets, and roadway lighting. So that's what falls under the network expansion. When we talk about intersection improvement programs, under that category, we're talking about modifications of current intersections where we look at safety. That could deal with, new lane markings, adding a curb, adding a turn lane, as well as the incorporation of a brand new intersection or a roundabout, depending on what's warranted and what's the best fit for the community in that type of area. Then we get into the roads rehabilitation program. Again, this can be to an existing road, or it's a brand new construction. Again, it deals with the inclusion of curbs. It looks at sidewalks, active transportation. This is where the hot mix repaving program falls under, as well as we come in and we repave stretches of the road to increase the longevity of their use. It looks at underground substructure, such as water main, sanitary. And again, that's where a lot of the collaboration or partnership happens with the municipality on increasing their needs as we're out there doing the work. So that's why, from my perspective, again, it's so important to understand how we're moving with our capital budget and how we're aligning ourselves with what the town is also trying to do, obviously to further what they'd like to do out here. And then the last category has to do with structural rehabilitation program, and that's dealing with any culvert rehabilitations, any replacements, as well as bridges. So we look at how we're rehabilitating them, and then we look at how we are, or replacing them. And there's a whole capital program, again, that factors into all of that. So if we look at some previous work just completed, again, just to showcase, again, the great work that's happened out here in the town of Lincoln. The first example quickly is Regional Road 81. This is King Street. What happened here was this was the addition of a roundabout. There were geometric improvements done here, in particular at Durham Road and Green Lane. There was a new town water main that was incorporated into the project. So again, it talks to the partnership and collaboration and working together. And it also dealt with landscaping and lighting at the intersection. So that's just a great example, again, of just recent work that's happened here in the town of Lincoln. If I go to another piece of work that was done, this has to do with Regional Road 18. This is Mountain Street between Leonard Crescent to King Street. This was a road reconstruction program. It was in the realm of approximately $6.4 million to complete this piece of work. From my perspective, something like this transforms a neighborhood. You can see how it was urbanized, there's sidewalks, there was new infrastructure put into it, and it just, it just makes the feel of the neighborhood a lot more friendly, obviously, for those living there. So this was, again, a great piece of work that I'm very proud of that the region undertook in relationship here with staff here at the town. Under the road resurfacing program, commonly known as the Hot Mix program, we've got Regional Road 81. This is King Street. This was something that was done towards the end of 2016. There was a $400,000 piece of work done here, obviously to repave the road and to increase the longevity of this piece of work. And then I show two other examples here falling out of the Hot Mix program. We've got Regional Road 40, South Service Road, with limits from Grimsby Lincoln limit to the South Service Road access. That was in the realm close to $1 million. And then we've got Regional Road 77, which is 4th Avenue, 11th Street to the Lincoln St. Catharines limit. And again, that was around a $400,000 piece of work completed by the region to help improve the roads here out in Lincoln. I'm now going to move into talking about those same categories with regards to where staff and I, under obviously the direction and consultation with Ron, have gone with regards to how we've been building the budget and how we're making improvements out here in the town of Lincoln. So the first I wanted to talk to deals with Regional Road 81, King Street. This is at Main Street, and this is 19th Street. This is a town-led project. I had conversations with David on this as well as Mike. There's been conversations with my staff as well with regards to how we're partnering and how the region is going to provide support through, obviously, the intersection realignment, look at it from a safety perspective, and then come up with the ultimate final design and working with the municipality. This is, according to the discussions of how we want to move this program forward. We've put it in the realm of 2018 to 2020, and we've already put into the budget around $2.4 million to help support, obviously, the work that the town would like to do out in this area here. Another example of upcoming works for 2018 to 2021 has to do with Regional Road 69. This is Pelham Road Phase 3. This is Wessel Drive to 8th. Again, this falls under our reconstruction program. Right now we've got allocated in the budget $6.5 million to complete this work from design to completion. This is currently in detailed design. This is a fairly long stretch of rural road that we're looking to widen the lanes, the platform of, and it's approximately 6 lane kilometers of work that we're going to be embarking on here with regards to work on that road here in the town of Pelham, or sorry, the town of Lincoln, apologies. Next we have Regional Road 81, which is King Street. This is Durham Road to Lincoln Avenue. Again, that falls under a reconstruction program. We're targeting this to start in 2021. Current budget numbers right now, we're sitting at $5.5 million to complete this piece of work. And what's great about this is this has been a conversation where the region has already been actively engaged with regards to what's happening with the secondary school out there. A site plan has been submitted. We have been reviewing it from a transportation perspective and providing safety comments, access comments, obviously back to the municipality in support of obviously this, the building of this out here, which is fantastic. Our program is lining up to be completed in around the time the school's done, and what we're obviously looking to do here is ensure that we've got proper sidewalks, lighting, active transportation, so it's urbanizing the area so it's safe for those attending and trying to get to the school. So again, this just talks to the conversations that David and I have been having and how we've been working with both sets of staff to ensure the timing, and we're both budgeting and working together to deliver this so it's successful out there for when the school opens. And another one just on the horizon for us at the region is Old Highway 8. This is Vinehaven Trail to 23rd Street. This is a reconstruction program, again, with streetscaping. 2021 to 2023 is when we're forecasting to do this work. Again, approximately $4.8 million on the table. We'll be looking at active transportation, sidewalks. Detailed design is imminent to start with regards to this program, and we'll be looking at underground infrastructure. So just based on the reconstruction activity that we've got forecasted starting in 2018 and going out for the next 5 years, there is a heavy commitment, obviously, to work with the staff here to deliver and to have some great improvements on the regional road and the infrastructure out here in the town of Lincoln. The next category just to talk to are structures and the rehabilitation program. Again, the 5-6 year forecast has to deal with culvert replacements. We've highlighted 2. So with regards to the road works and anything to do with the culverts and the bridges, we have annual and biennial programs that go out and inspect everything. So the roads are inspected yearly. That's how we come up with the forecasts of whether we're going to do a hot mix resurface or whether we're going to do a reconstruction. So that happens annually, and that's how we work into our asset management plans, as well as how we work into our budgets and forecast out based on how those standards and guidelines come back with those ratings, where we put them into our programs. The same thing happens with the culverts and the bridges. We work through a biannual program every 2 years with the consultant. They provide us reports that talk to all of the conditions of the culverts and the structures for the bridges, and then again we work that into our capital budgets. And some of these are very hefty price tagged items, so we're working back as far in advance as we can to ensure that we're getting them replaced in a timely manner, obviously just keeping in mind safety and how we want to improve the infrastructure out there. So with regards to the culverts, we've highlighted 2. The 16 Creek culvert for 2020-21 targeted based on our analysis, and then the King Street culvert for 2020. And if we look at the bridge rehabilitations and replacements, that's a picture there of the 20-mile arch. We're targeting work to begin, like the design assignment to start in 2018, and obviously to get that done and completed in 2019. Again, this is where the communication and partnership work with the town staff on obviously construction staging, access, because I believe this is in the vicinity of your Jordan Hollow. I'll talk about that in a minute on the next slide, but there's a lot of things we need to do with regards to obviously staging the work and making sure that if there's any infrastructure needs out there that we're on the same page with regards to that. And then we've got the 16-mile creek, which we're targeting 2021 to 2023. This is a rehabilitation, so it's substructure and deck work. It's not a full replacement, but again, we've got that in the forecast right now to move that forward to get approval as we continue through our years of budgeting. On the next slide, I wanted to talk a little bit about active transportation. So currently right now, active transportation falls under the transportation arm, under myself, but under Ron as well. Coming out of the TMP, obviously, we're a huge amount of areas throughout the entire 12 municipalities of areas that we want to work on bringing active transportation forward. I right now sit as co-chair on the Active Transportation Subcommittee, as well as the Transportation Steering Committee at the region, and I am a believer of bringing complete streets and active transportation to the forefront. We've got a region here that is amazing to live in, as well as to visit. And I think there are many opportunities as we advance all of our outlook of how we're enriching the area to include this to the table in every single municipality. So the importance of this drawing is coming out of the regional TMP, so the master plan there. We are indicating areas in green that are already existing. So we show the regional as well as the municipal. We show potential links, infill areas that the municipality can embark on doing, as well as infill areas of the region we'll be tackling through our budgeting program as we do reconstruction and moving forward, as well as new regional areas that we're targeting to bring more active transportation to your community. So every program that deals with a reconstruction, we look at complete streets, we look at sidewalks, we look at active transportation, and even furthering that, we're also in the dialogues right now of bringing that forward as to how do we start incorporating that into operations. So wanting to actually move forward with, there's different guidelines around putting active transportation out on a road, bike lane. So we're now working and understanding what those guidelines, how stringent they are, and then what do we need to do operationally if we're going to start marking them as these types of corridors, widening the platforms. The maintenance and the operations around them is very different than what currently is done, and this is something the region is embarking on to understand and to start working into their operations budget as we bring more and more of these online through the new reconstructions. A couple just to mention in the area where we've got projects, obviously in the budget forecast. King Street, there's a segment on King Street we're looking at. Mountain Street, there's another segment in King Street, Beamsville, and Pelham Road. So these are just for the ones that are in our line of sight as we start doing reconstructions that we'll be bringing them online to see how they're incorporated. So I wanted to sort of end off with other regional initiatives. So I gave an overview, obviously, of all the great work the region has been doing in concert here with the municipality. I talked about our immediate 2018 and 5-year lookout and how we will continue to partner and work together on those initiatives to make sure they're successful from both perspectives. But other regional initiatives are going on that we will be reaching out to staff to participate and be a stakeholder with. One has to do with complete streets. So again, coming out of the region's TMP, Transportation Master Plan, there were 6 typologies identified. They range from obviously urban-wide all the way down to hamlet, rural. So what we are looking at right now is putting out a procurement that is going to bring a consultant on board that is going to work with us, and we will be working with the municipalities on what those guidelines actually mean. So for each one of those typologies, what are a set of guidelines that are consistent on how we want to deliver these types of streets? So what would be on an urban-wide, what would be considered a set of standards for a rural road? And I think that's important to make sure that we're all working everyone understands guidelines and the region's implementing a standard that is consistent everywhere. So this is a procurement that's going to be going out shortly, and we will be reaching out to collaborate and have stakeholders from the municipalities to be in the know, but also understand what we're doing, and we'll bring that back so everyone understands the final results of how we're going to push forward with the different delivery models for these typologies. Ontario Street, I'm raising that because that was one that I've spoken to both Mike and Dave on. And I know there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity for us to do some piloting. There's an opportunity for us to look at active transportation, different markings on the street. And what I like about this is it's good to have this as a trial ground in a small section of area. Thank you. Talking upfield quickly, sorry. There's just an opportunity for us to pilot trying out a few different ideas in the area. And this is falling in line with the 6 typologies in the complete street. So we are working closely on what some of those initiatives could look like. I do know that there has been work done as well with our planning, urban design, architectural lead from the region as well, who we work very closely. And it's an opportunity for us to try a few things to see how they work out there through the pilot, and then again through how we finalize our 6 typologies, then how we roll it out consistently throughout the different municipalities. Safety from my perspective is key. I am all in favor about having active transportation corridors, urban corridors, but first and foremost, I always drive safety as paramount, incorporating how you can add all of these different, movements happening together, making sure that there's the proper safety happening out there. So Ontario Street is one that we're working very closely here with staff, and it could be quite exciting to see what could come out of it. Another one is regional wayfinding. So coming out of the TMP, there were guidelines around wayfinding. As part of the Transportation Steering Committee agenda and items that have come onto the table, and something that I'm starting to launch right now is putting out another procurement as well to work with stakeholders, each from the municipalities again, but it's to talk to the interface between the regional and the municipal streets. So we have a set of guidelines currently in the TMP, but what I'm hearing, still being fairly new to the region and just starting to look into this program, is how do we marry or how do we look at the intersection points between the municipal roads and the regional roads, which is key. Making sure, again, we're following guidelines, safety, visibility, all of those different items and characteristics need to come into context. So we're going to be putting in a procurement to bring a consultant on board who is going to be looking at what the regional wayfinding next steps are coming out of our TMP, and this will be a collaborative discussion with each of the municipalities, because I know the municipalities all are embarking on wayfinding differently. So I'm trying to find a way potentially that we can work on how there could be a consistency, but if not a consistency, just how do we work to having those areas of interconnection being similar, so that anyone coming to the region here will know where they're going directionally, because it's consistent from the regional road perspective, and also addressing tourism needs and all of that. So that's something that's going to be starting throughout 2018 as well. Safety initiative. So I've mentioned Jordan Hollow, again, in speaking and working closely with Mike and Dave. We've met, we've talked about Jordan Hollow. I'm familiar with the area. I know what happens down there. I believe there's the flea market, which I've not been to, but I know that there's the restaurant down there. So I already have staff looking into it. So safety has been raised, lighting's been raised, active transportation down there has been raised. So these are items that we've taken away. We've heard obviously the concerns and we're looking into it. So we'll come back with next steps, objectives of quick wins that we can hopefully implement out there, again, to make sure that safety is paramount and that we're implementing things. So it'll just be a lot easier for those down there, obviously, to be able to move around. Safety, again, is key. I already mentioned that. I have a safety arm in the department. I get inquiries all the time. I get inquiries from staff. I get inquiries from residents. We've got a trailer, a speed trailer that I pull out, staff pull out all the time. We're looking to potentially acquire maybe another one. So any inquiry we get with regards to safety, speeds, sightline issues, we've got an arm and a team of individuals that go out and they investigate it. It's all based on guidelines. It's all based on standards. It's all fact-based with what we're measuring, and we provide responses back to that. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we do receive requests in all municipalities. So I'm talking about safety initiatives. I'm talking about Jordan Hollow in particular because that was raised, but we receive inquiries all the time that I have a team of individuals that actually go out, do their proper testing under the regulations, and we provide responses back as to why something's warranted, why it's not warranted, and we talk about it from a safety perspective always, and making sure that it's safe out there. And if something needs to be done, we're happy to implement it. And we budget and we do for that. Next, there's the Niagara Escarpment Crossing. So there was a lot of work done on this program years past under Ron. It is something that between Ron, myself, as well as a consultant, we've now brought back to the table as something that we're starting to investigate about how we bring it back online. There's been a lot of great work there. So there was a meeting held last week, obviously, to take a look at how we bring this corridor back to the table with the MOECC. So a consultant and I both went to the Hamilton office. They had regional representatives from there as well as the Toronto office present. And we talked about a strategy of what was done and where do we go from here. I know that this is a piece of work that's important to a lot of different municipalities. I know it has to deal with obviously just getting across different corridors. I know there are safety issues that have been raised across other regional roads in a number of municipalities. But this is a piece of work that it's large. It's extremely large. It's extremely complex. There's a lot of agencies that will have a lot of voices around why we can and can't do what we want to do here. So the first steps are us just getting a bearing of where do we go from here from an EA perspective. The MOECC was very helpful on starting that conversation with us. Between Ron and I, we're collaborating on what we will bring back to Public Works Committee and Council on next steps. But this is a piece of work that's on our forecast to begin again and to see where it will it'll move to with regards to some of our continuing of studies. And then lastly, I just want to make mention around developments. Prudhome's is the most recent example. The school's another one. We have staff, obviously, at the region who work very closely here with staff. Site plans are sent to the region. Transportation is heavily involved from a transportation perspective, road infrastructure, counts. We want to know traffic counts. And all of that information is always fed back, and we work with the staff here on obviously making sure that the regional requirements are understood, why we're needing them, and then how we work together on working with the developers to have them succeed in what they're doing, but also improving the infrastructure that we need to be successful out on the streets. And the Lincoln TMP is the most recent one, and working with Dave that we're very happy to be a partner with. We're working with Dave on providing subsets of the TMP, our Emmy model data that we have from the larger regional program that we've completed, and partnering and working and helping by providing that information, but also once the results come back, working together just to understand those results and then to see if there's any way we can participate as a partner on any upcoming initiatives out of that. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Chair, I look to you. We tailored this presentation based on feedback we got from Mike and Dave. I can provide some other highlights from Public Works. We didn't know that we were working to a time limit, so I look to you for your direction.
Thank you, Carolyn, for that presentation. Thank you, Commissioner Tripp, for those comments. And certainly we've anticipated, your presentation for quite some time, and we've asked Active Transportation and committee members, to prepare some questions. So I think we're going to take the time to go around the horseshoe, and I asked committee members to keep it at a fairly high level. We've all talked about for the last number of months and years, what our priorities are, and I think what we're trying to accomplish tonight is to make sure that our priorities and the region's priorities align. And I'm very, very, very positive to hear. And I thank you for the positive inclusion of active transportation and complete streets in your presentation. You mentioned that a number of times, and it's great to hear you mentioning that we have a positive line of communication between our Director Graham and our CEO Kirkopoulos. That's very, 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 very good to hear. It makes us feel good that we've got those good lines of communication. So without further ado, I ask committee members to try to keep it at a high level and not talk about a certain pothole or a certain tree or a certain culvert. So I'm going to start on the far left with Councillor McPherson.
So I can't ask about a banner hanging pole?
Yes, you can.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation, and thank you for coming. It's, it's working closely, as you say, with the municipality and the region that gets things done. And the region is absolutely very important to us with the many regional roads that are traveling through our municipality. So you hit on all of the topics that I had on my list, and just walking through some of them quickly. So Jordan Hollow, and I am the ward councillor out there, and have received many calls and feedback about the Jordan Hollow and how unsafe it is. And there are certainly migrant workers that are on bikes out there. I think the area, how it curves, how narrow it is, the speeds with which cars travel through there. I think it's I think it's an accident waiting to happen. It's very, very unsafe going through there. And it's obviously one of the prettiest parts of our town too. So it is something that I think we really need to bring up on the list if we can, to assess what can be done from a bike friendly, from a walking friendly perspective along that road. I know the options are probably somewhat limited. I think that the one side just drops right off, and there's probably not a lot you can do out of there over on that side. But the other side, going into the embankment there and bracing it, similar to what happened between 7th and 9th, something along those lines to enhance both the look and feel of that particular stretch of road, and also making it a whole lot safer than it is. So glad to see that that's on your list. King Street Vineland, there was a lot of questions around King Street Vineland. I understand there was some design work that was done, certainly not detailed work, but design work that was done, and was on, I think it was on display at one time at our library, and it seems like that project has been pushed back. Maybe I'm wrong there, but good to hear that, as you said, Carolyn, detailed design work is imminent, and that we can work together on that, because again, one of the objectives of certainly of this council, and I would expect of the next council, is that we do want to build vibrant downtowns, and Vineland is certainly one of the downtowns that we want to enhance and bring to a whole new level. So that is good to see on that one. The Niagara Escarpment Crossing, and I think you've obviously heard from members of this council about truck traffic. And all I would say is that we are unanimous in our desire to get trucks certainly off of King Street in Beamsville. Again, I am the council representative on the downtown BIA in Beamsville, and we might be unique, I don't know, but we might be unique in the municipalities in that we actually have trucks turning onto our King Street, onto our main downtown street, not only turning off, but turning on and then turning off. So we have 2 turns of trucks in the downtown core, which is just disastrous for us. And, I know Grimsby, I think they just go straight up mountain, so they're not turning onto their downtown street. And I don't know, of any other situations, but for us, it is a real issue. And it's an issue, again, for our efforts to build a vibrant downtown that, if we've got trucks trolleying through the downtown core, it's just not good for us. And short of, building a escarpment crossing, which sounds like a long way off, is there other options for us to get those trucks off of our downtown, especially our downtown Beamsville? So I would ask that you consider that. And my only other thing that I did have, and I don't think you covered it, but was speeds on the regional roads, speeds on Jordan Road, speeds on Victoria Road, and I think I have seen monitoring going on from the region there, and is there results coming out of that, and are you sharing that with Director Graham or with the council?
Yeah, so any requests we get with regards to sightline speeding, and we do an analysis, whether it's with a speed trail or we go out and we check for sightlines, we filter that information back.
Okay. All right, so that's it. If there's a number one ask, it's the Jordan Hollow for me. It's just a constant request or constant plea from runners that want to get from Jordan to Vineland, from the cyclists, from and what I see in the migrant workers out there. It's got to be. We got to address it. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Deputy Chair McMillan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to iterate the fact about downtown Vineland, and I have said so many times that this has been on the region's 5-year plan for the last 15 years. It is just being put off and put off and put off. And now it's slated for 2021 and downtown Jordan 2023. My concern is that when development happens, then development dictates what is going to happen around that development. For example, the example is Beamsville District Secondary School is going to close in 2020. Your plan is in 2021. Then the reconstruction of King Street from Durham right down to Lincoln Avenue. And how is that going to impact the work that's going to be done in Jordan? Does that project, because of the building of the new secondary school, is it going to put Jordan and is it going to put Vineland back even further because this one's going to take precedent over it? And that has happened so many times, and it is so frustrating to see that happen. Can you reassure us that those kinds of things are not going to happen? That if there is a new project like the secondary school and the work that goes along with that, that it's not going to impact things that are already on the plate to be done, like Vineland and like Jordan. When we talk about economic development in our own town. Nothing is going to happen in Vineland until Vineland becomes a place where businesses want to come. And that's not going to happen until that street is brought up to urban standards, so that it has the curbs and it has the gutters and it has the sidewalks and it looks like a downtown rather than the way it looks right now. So that's my overriding concern right now. The other thing that bothers me is the South Service Road. That there was work done last fall on the South Service Road between Beamsville and Vineland. And the work was done, the work is finished, and it works fine, but they've never, ever come back to complete the road. It is just a roller coaster ride to drive from Beamsville to Vineland on the South Service Road. It just, well, like a circus. Yeah, it's just awful. They have never, ever come back to do that. And the work has been completed it was completed 6-8 months ago. They've never come back to do that.
Sorry.
Those are my concerns.
So to clarify on that one, are you referring to segments that haven't been recently done, or are you referring to segments, because I'll go back and I'll speak with staff and I'll even look into it myself.
The work that was done on South Service Road was, I'm sure, was done last fall.
And that's the roller coaster you're
Yeah, the road was torn up, and the area was blocked off. There was no traffic allowed in that area because of the type of work that was being done. And the road was dug up, and the work was done underneath, and then it was filled back in and never, ever come back to replace it. And then in the meantime, when we're driving through this roller coaster ride on the South Service Road in the East End, the region comes in and paves the West End, and they all the area from Ontario Street right through to Durham, all a brand new service to the South Service Road, and forgot all about the other part that was done. So those are my two concerns, that area in South Service Road that has never been completed, and also some kind of guarantee that Vineland is going to be done, because I've asked regional people for the last 15 years, when is this going to be done? Well, it's in our 5-year plan, and it never gets done. So then 5 years go by and say, when is this going to be done? Well, it's in our 5-year plan, and it never gets done, and it's still not done. And it's really, really frustrating. And it's not only frustrating for the councillors in that area, but it's frustrating for the residents as well. It is really a really black eye in the region's area for sure, because that's their responsibility. And it is a partnership with the town, and the town is prepared to do that, but the region's not coming forward with it at all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Through you, Chair, just to touch on that. We hear you loud and clear in terms of frustration. Neither one of us could speak to sort of the 15-year perspective. I can say that the environmental assessment was the public meetings you talked about has been completed. It's tracking now through detailed design. I think the mayor can recognize that we have budget constraints similar to what the town has, and we have to make decisions any given year. I guess I can't say that the anticipation of the high school is going to trump or defer Vineland at this point in time. I can say that we work closely with David, and what we have right now is our best guess in terms of a forecast. We'll continue to refine that and continue to take input from the town and look for Mayor Easton as well as Councillor Hodgson to bring the prerogative of the town to our budget discussions when we go forward as well. So all I can say right now is we've heard you.
Okay.
Commissioner Tripp, I would just make a comment with regards to Councillor McMillan's concerns about the service road. I believe what he's referring to there, because we had a lot of complaints about that late fall last year. So there was, I think the area he's talking about, just to put it in context, was the force main that was done, the Gibbons contracting. So I believe, that work took place. They were waiting for some settlement, and I guess all I would ask is if there's an opportunity to get that paving done in the spring as early as possible. Hopefully settlement's taking place over the winter. I think that's what Councillor McMillan's referring to.
So we will take that away. That's actually the Water Wastewater Division. It would be linear infrastructure, but they'd reinstate the road, but I will take that back.
Thank you, Councillor McMillan. I'm going to go to Councillor Patriva and then Mayor Easton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to thank you both for coming tonight. You've nailed a lot of the issues that I had. I think a $20 million commitment to the town of Lincoln over the next few years with respect to road rehab is exemplary. And I look forward to it taking place and us, doing what we can to help. I'm the vice chair of the Active Transportation Committee. Councillor Brunet is the chair. So, our committee had great pleasure in taking a bird's eye view of the King Street reconstruction from Durham to Lincoln, commenting on that. And because we've got public on there too, came up with some really good insight. So you can do, and two, I commend the region for committing to active transportation and complete streets. Because years ago, there was always talk of instituting bike lanes on any regional road that was redeveloped, and always that, in some way, shape, or form, got slashed because of budget constraints. So I appreciate that we're moving forward in that direction. But nuances, too, that were coming up, and you'll see in the Transportation Master Plan in our comments, is that that's great to have those things, but then we need to look at parking restrictions along there. So you've got King Street, you've got a couple businesses that hold events, barn sales, antique sales. Well, the bike lane in the active transportation corridor isn't really any good when you've got cars parked there. So, but something that came up, and we go, that's a great comment. Councillor McPherson's comments about the hollow and a bypass or a pedestrian bridge like they've got at, Weber's or over the QEW or in Hamilton, something there to then, you talked about safety being paramount. I think that would remove that safety issue, having pedestrians, rather than try to time when the cars are coming from above, when they're coming from below, pedestrian bridge of some sort. And then that too would provide a linkage to the 20 Valley Trail that runs from the bridge north to Bailey Bridge. And then there's another trail that runs on the south side up to Balls Falls. So again, would provide a fantastic active transportation linkage and heightening safety. So thank you very much. I'd be remiss if I didn't throw this out because it's one of my pet projects that I will go to the grave holding on to. I would love the region to work collaboratively with the NPCA and the municipalities to develop a living snow fence program.
Thank you, Councillor Patriva. Mayor Easton.
Thank you very much for coming tonight, Ron, and it's very nice to meet you, Carolyn. And I'm very encouraged by your deliberate way of addressing these issues. So let me be very deliberate with you. We're going to have a change here. 3.5 years ago, when I became the mayor, this issue of truck traffic and the movement of vehicles around the town and the impact that it was having, plus the death of a child, was almost more than I can stand. And I have told the CAO on a number of occasions that if something keeps me up at night, it's what's happening in Beamsville on Mountain Street and Ontario Street. Now, Ron Tripp has helped us, and improvements have been made. Mountain Street, it's a good job, and it's, as you say, it transforms the neighborhood. And for a little while, it didn't seem to be too bad. The trucks were, I don't know whether they were finding their way differently, but we noticed a bit of a change. The people on the street noticed a bit of a change. It is absolutely open season out there again. So when you talk about safety, what I interpret from what you say is that decisions will be made as they need to be made with safety in mind. So let's start with the fact that these river bottom trucks, these live bottom trucks that are about 5 cars long, are coming down Mountain Street, making a left turn, and then making a right turn Ontario. It's absolutely ridiculous. They are forcing the cars in the opposing lane to back up. If I'm in that lane, I'm not going anywhere because it's my right to be in the safe portion of the road. This situation has nothing to do with the construction of the roads. I have no argument with your report. And you've been very comprehensive in many of the things that you have covered. But if we don't deal with this situation, and so we need your help to get these trucks out of our downtown areas. You can't even, having complete streets and this beautiful design of this complete street with the 6 topologies, absolutely. This community is right there. We have so many people working on this. We're putting all the investment that we can because we want to improve the look and feel of our community. And yet, I look out at the audience tonight and I can find you at least 6 people that have had to deal with just unbelievable circumstances. So I'm not sure what the solution is going to be, but I do know that we need to ensure that trucks are too big are not on roads that don't fit them. And we are going to look to you, Carolyn, for assistance in how we can do that. We need a master plan here. I had a master plan a few years ago. I told the CAO, Mr. Kirkopoulos, that I wanted to have these very, very high towers built at the corner of Mountain Street and Ontario Street. And I wanted police sitting up there because it was the only way that I could figure out to make a point with people that you're too big for the road. If you are too big for the road, you fall underneath the Highway Traffic Act, you have to get off. And that's where I am right now because we need to take what is under our control and do something with it, including hiring police officers to have them on our streets. Grimsby has done this. I personally think it's a tragedy. I don't know why our tax dollars has to go to this kind of thing, but we are in a desperate situation here. This is 4 years after. I've been a mayor for 4 years, and the gentleman that's sitting directly behind your left shoulder, he won an award last year from me called the Feet to the Fire Award because he is on my case every month about this. There are all kinds of people here that have spent hours. There's another gentleman over on the other side of the room whose daughter was involved in a very, very, very serious accident on Ontario Street. The region tells him that his numbers are wrong. They're not adequate. What kind of an answer is that? So not only do we need a plan going forward, a master plan with your expertise, we need an attitude adjustment. There's another gentleman here that has to deal with incredibly noisy potholes because the covers are not put on properly. The speeds are horrendous, but the people on the street are told, no, the speeds aren't high. There's no problems. And so it goes on and on and on. This is not the look and feel of the community we want here. Our vision says that we will grow, we will prosper, and we will belong. And we cannot do it with this is like having a war zone around you. I brought Chair Caslin here before he was elected, and he sat in one of the restaurants in the main street, and he couldn't believe the trucks that were coming down. That was nothing. Those trucks are bigger than they ever were, and there seems to be no limit to it. So we either need a quick education in what the realities are, and then the council can start making a decision about what we're going to do, or I don't know what we're going to do here, other than get very vigilante about it, because that's just about the way we feel now. So we've got absolute lovely areas. We have the hamlet of Camden, which is a charming little area in our town, which is growing up now in a nice, slow way, lovely little homes, beautiful place to live. Trucks rumbling through there all day. very unsafe, lots of families there. We have the same thing going on in Jordan. And when the road consultants came and spoke to us about 19th Street, they had the audacity to talk about these big trucks that were going to come down 19th Street. I said, what do you mean they're coming down 19th Street? There should be no trucks coming that way at all. And they were accommodating the size of this road and the turns, already preparing for these big trucks to come down into that little village. It's not what we had in mind. So I'm not going to rant on any longer because this is very disturbing to me. The plan is great. On the surface, who can argue? The region have always been cooperative. I always speak to Mr. Graham about what is coming along. Is he satisfied? I don't find it necessary to go to the region and make any special deals with the region because the town staff are working with the region and they always have been. So the work is getting done, except for these areas that my colleagues have mentioned. But I want to go up here and talk about what it's like to live in this community and how transportation impacts it. And we have a long road ahead of us, but we've got to get busy. And I want these people that are here tonight to leave here feeling that they can have confidence in you, not just the fact that you can speak to us with conviction, but we are going to get results with conviction. And we will be there to help you. Ron knows this. We don't fool around out here in Lincoln. We get our work done. We make decisions. But we need to have very strong partners. And I would say for the next 5 years, we need you absolutely with your foot to the pedal with us. We have got to boost this up to a level where we can really begin to see change, because it's not going to happen if we take a passive view and say, thank you so much for coming. I want to be as gentle as I possibly can, but my foot is on the pedal. I'm in the lane. My lights are on. I hope you see me. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just wanted to
If I could, just to you, Mayor, with respect, and thank you very much. I'd suggest to you that actually Ms. Ryle represents our new perspective as well as our new attitude. Certainly a new set of eyes at what we're dealing with. We have to look at other things that we can do. I know, thank you for acknowledging what we've done recently. It was nice to see it made a difference short time, but we still have other things we can do. And I've said this to you as well as everybody before, the long-term solution, I know we have to do something before that, is the escarpment crossing. Carolyn can attest to that. That has been the priority that I've stated over and over again, that we have to get traction on and get moving on. I know it won't happen quickly. We have to look at other solutions as well. But I'd certainly look to this council as well as others in the community to support what we have to do to make that happen for all of Niagara.
thank you, Commissioner, for those comments. So I'd just like to finish off with just a couple of comments of my own. So you've heard, Carolyn, you've heard loud and clear that the truck traffic and what comes into the downtown is a major concern of not only this council but our residents. I want to thank you for in your presentation identifying that you guys are hiring a consultant, to work with wayfinding at Regional Road and municipal intersections. I think that's very important. It's something that we've talked about at Transportation. It gets talked about at a lot of committees. So I think that's important that we're all on the same page in terms of wayfinding, especially as we try to grow economic development and tourism in Lincoln. And just to Commissioner Tripp and obviously Mayor Easton's comments, with regards to the work that we did last year on Mountain Street, that day when we went out there with the Niagara Regional Police and we stood at the top of Mountain Street at Leonard, and you guys worked to put that large sign up there with the flashing lights. And as the mayor alluded to, it has made some difference. We've heard from residents that moving the signs back further in terms of speed reduction has made a difference as trucks come to the top of the crown with their J brakes and as they come down from a noise level. And I know that Director Graham has already spoken to you, or I believe he has spoken to you, but I wanted to reiterate at this meeting that I think this council looks to, what's happened in Grimsby coming down Mountain Street with the flashing digital sign. And if that's something that we could add here, possibly at Hillside right by Albright Manor, I think there's been great strides made in those trucks coming to the crown, but we need to, identify to them that maybe they're still going too far as they come into the area of, the school and the church. We reduced the speed there, but we need a digital sign there, the same as what you've done with Grimsby Mountain Street. I think that would be huge to just try to reinforce. We put up digital signs throughout the municipality. We find that they work. I think you would agree with that. So if we can have a visual there for those people coming down, I think it would just reinforce what we're already, the strides we've already made. So again, on behalf of committee, we want to thank you for coming here this evening. I just wanted to finish off, again, thanking the people in the audience for coming. And through our legislative director of corporate and clerk acting, she has left some little takeaways at the front desk. So if any of the members of the audience, member of the public, active transportation, have any questions specifically related to the Niagara Regional Public Works initiatives within the town of Lincoln, please contact Director of Transportation Services, Carolyn Ryle, and her telephone number, her extension, and her email is on that. So please take those away. If there's something tonight that you haven't heard, take this opportunity to reach out directly to the Transportation Services Director. Thank you very much for coming. It was a pleasure having you here.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I was hoping I was be able to say a few words if his time is available.
No, unfortunately, this evening is not a public meeting. So again, there are takeaways there where you can make contact with the Director of Transportation Services. Thank you. So we have a motion moved by Councillor McMillan and seconded by Councillor McPherson that the delegation presented be received. Your pleasure on the motion? And that is carried. You want to ask? You want to ask? We have no items of correspondence this evening. Next, we have report PW 18-11, the report regarding Conkle Creek Naturalization Phase 1 project tender results. Are there any questions from committee members on this report? Seeing none, we have a motion that report PW 18-11 Conkle Creek Naturalization Phase 1 project tender results be received as information, and that council award the contract for the Conkle Creek Naturalization Phase 1 project for the tender amount of $1,373,808, excluding HST, to Sea Waves Development Services. Further, that the firm of GHD be retained to provide contract inspection and testing services at a cost of $52,254, excluding HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign and seal the contract documents on behalf of the municipality. I want to make a notation here. Councillor McMillan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What's involved in this report is, a lot of information about the streets in town and the repairs that are going to be done over this year. What is I know we've done this before, but just to iterate, what is the procedure now to let the residents of the areas where work is going to be done, that the work is going to be done, and what they can expect?
Director Graham.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. What staff will do once the contract is formally awarded through council, we will meet with the contractor, get more information on confirming the schedule, and then what we do is we do a construction newsletter to all the residents in the area. Okay. We'll provide them detailed information on when the project will start, contact information if there's any questions or concerns, and sort of what to expect as the project moves forward. And that's an ongoing newsletter on a monthly basis, typically.
Okay, I want to remind committee, I asked if there was any questions. We have a motion on the table, but Councillor Patriva?
Yeah, not a question, Mr. Chairman, just a comment. And just as the chair of FNA, I just wanted to point out that the Ministry of Infrastructure through Clean Water and Wastewater Funds, so CWWF, the town received approximately $600,000 from both the provincial and federal governments to go towards this project. So, just like to point that out, and that, staff has done an exemplary job of, and pardon the pun, tapping in to these funds.
That's a great comment, Councillor. Thank you for bringing that to light. So I've read the motion. Your pleasure on the motion? And that is carried. The next report this evening is PW 18-12, report regarding the 2018 Capital Road Resurfacing and Rehabilitation Program. Are there any questions from committee members? Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, this is fantastic to see this report coming out so early in the year and, coming in what looks like a very nice number. So nice work by the director and the team over in Public Works. I do have a couple of comments, and one is, and this would just help me in these reports. I don't know if it would be of help to the rest of the committee. I would really like to see the year that these streets are in the 10-year capital plan put into the reports, so that, when we look at the list of streets, that those were in 2018 or scheduled to be in 2018 or 19 or 20 or whatever it is, just so it's a good reference to see how are we working our 10-year capital plan. So if that could be done, that would be great. I do have a question, and I don't see the urbanization number in here. Unless I'm reading this wrong, is this basically road rehabilitation and not urbanization, or is there another report coming for urbanization, or is this everything? Through you, Mr. Chair, to the director.
Through Mr. Chairman, good question to the councillor. This particular report is our annual road rehabilitation program, so it's a good balance. So it includes rural roads and urban road as it relates to shave and pave type urban work. A separate report that I believe it went to the February infrastructure. Our urban road reconstruction project this year is Academy Street, so that was that's a different project, a different report.
So that was it. That's what we're doing for urbanization. So okay. Because I was seeing the number that this is coming in at, and we're just under our budget number, and I'd like to see us just push to that budget number. So if there's another kilometer or two of roads that we could do, I think it makes sense just to get that done, and if we could knock off another short or a piece of road for that, I think it was like 50 grand that we had left to the budget, let's do it. Just my thoughts on it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Director Graham, did you want to make a comment about that, on what the surplus is there?
Sure. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. So just a real quick summary. So again, we did very well with our bid results on this tender. And back when council sets the budget, we pick a list of roads for our $1.7 million budget, but also at the budget process, we also identify, we call them provisional roads. So the idea behind that is if we get really good bids, we can add more roads to the program. And I think that aligns with council's mandate is we want to invest as much as we can in roads. So if council makes a budget allocation of 1.7 million, we want to ensure we're investing 1.7 million in our road program. So this particular report, again, we got really good bid results on what we agreed to do in the budget, and then the provisional roads, we're actually adding another $200,000, which is 3 more roads to this program. And we're still within budget. So staff have kind of followed council's direction in terms of maximizing your budget allocation with adding the additional provisional roads.
Thank you, Director. Councilor Patrick.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, and I guess a question along the same lines as Councilor McPherson's. And in no means do I want to pick winners or losers in the provisional roads, but I would suggest if by any way, shape, or form that we would be able to do Yonge Street from Tintern to Mountain Street. That's our very own thrill ride road that we should have a box there that you put a toonie in and put your helmet on and drive at your own risk. Like we're going to do, 80% of that to not do those other two. I mean, when we're right there and we're doing the same work, to me, doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. So if any way that could be included, like Councilor McPherson had pointed out, then it's done. I mean, I think it's great that we're doing Martin. We're doing Martin from King Street right to the South Service Road in one fell swoop. I suggest that we take a look at Yonge Street as well. I mean, if we're going to do it, then we might as well do it, and we might as well do it right.
Thank you, Councilor Patriva. Mary Easton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yes, well, let's be parochial for a moment. I'll take Yonge Street as well. It's a great road for the cyclists, and it's a heavily used road up in our neck of the woods, so it would be good to see that done, no question about it, but I will also leave it to your judgment. Mr. Chairman, this is very much a good news story. We have a bit of an audience tonight, so I think that when I said earlier that we're not fooling around out here in Lincoln, and I want to check these numbers with Mr. Graham, but it's my understanding that in 2012, the road surface evaluation was done at 58%. Mr. Graham's nodding his head. It was actually better than I thought because when I looked at the BMA numbers, I thought it was 42, so fair enough. In 2017, that rating went up to 69%. So in the last 4 years, strictly from putting a 1% additional levy and then a 1.5% additional levy, and then you recommended another 1.3 million in 2019. We're going to be up to 73%, correct? Okay, that's the number we want because that shows that this is value for investment here, and people understand that. And we still have some roads that are pretty awful, but we have a plan, we're working the plan, and I think we should be pretty pleased with ourselves because this is the kind of thing that after a while you get a bit bored with it and you might decide that you're not going to follow through, but you do it at your own peril. So this is great news, and thank you very much to the staff. They do a good job getting these tenders out, and we always do get a few extra kilometers, and that's good news as well. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good story.
Councilor McMillan.
Yeah, this is really good news for sure. I just want to apologize because I think that my question dealt more with this one than the previous one. Yeah, so, but it's, I got the answer that I wanted anyhow, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McMillan. So for, just for the audiences, the members of the audience that are here this evening, just in the report, this motion and this report, the total length of roads to be resurfaced and rehabilitated through the 2018 program, if this motion goes through, will increase to 19 kilometers of roadway from the original 16.5 that was initially budgeted all coming in within the 1.7 million. So it is a great news story. Before I read the motion, I want to, for committee members, notification. Staff have made a minor change to the recommendation than what was in the report that you had received in your package. They've inserted the item number 1 under the alternatives for consideration for the original recommendation. And I will now read the updated motion. We have a motion moved by Councillor McPherson and seconded by Councillor McMillan. That report PW 18-12, 2018 Capital Road Resurfacing and Rehabilitation Program tender results will be received as information. And that Council award the 2018 Capital Road Resurfacing Rehabilitation Program to Brennan Paving Limited for the tender amount of $1,261,668.18, HST excluded. And that Council award tender with additional provisional roads resulting in an estimated budget surplus of $3,882.20. And that Mayor and Clerk be authorized to sign and seal the contract documents on behalf of the municipality.
Beautiful.
Your pleasure on the motion. And that is carried. Councillor inquiries. Do we have any this evening?
I think the region took our inquiries.
Yeah.
Okay. Seeing, we do?
Who's on?
Oh, Councillor Patrick.
Yeah, if I may, Chairman, just, dovetailing with our annual road and rehab resurfacing program we just passed tonight, I would suggest that as quick as we can, we overlay this information, Director Graham, on our map we've been developing, get it up on that website to show how aggressive we've been in doing the road rehab, and people can kind of, and you get a really good picture of, it's not been haphazard, it's been by quadrants and things like that to show, and, maybe a graphic up there, like Councilor Brunei said, with each year, the road kilometers, so 19 this year, whatever we've done over those last years, and I think that's, this is one of these stories that we want to make sure we get it out there, so just be my 2 cents.
Thank you, Councillor. Mayor Easton.
Mr. Chairman, my inquiry relates back to the delegation this evening, and I would appreciate if we could just have some feedback from Mr. Kirkopoulos in particular about how we might go about dealing not so much with the capital projects, because our system is pretty tried and true in that regard, but how we might go about having the conversation about some of these more abstract issues around the attitude of dealing with the community, around the attitude of accepting complaints when they come in, following through with them in a timely manner. How would we go about that? How can people leave here tonight feeling confident that there's going to be a change? Thank you.
Mr. CAO.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, let me take a stab at trying to address the mayor's question, and let me begin by saying I think the fact that we had the region here with the tone of the conversation it is a huge step. I can recall early in my tenure, and from what I've heard over the past, maybe those relationships haven't been what we're experiencing here. So kudos to Mr. Tripp and the fact that he's brought someone on like Carolyn with the level of expertise that she has working on a number of transportation-related projects. I can tell you from the perspective of the town, Mr. Graham and his staff specifically, in addition to myself, continuously are meeting regularly and continuously advocate for the needs of our community. We continuously look for innovative ways to address them. I can tell you specifically on some of the issues around Ontario Street, we are looking at our own transit service and determining how, through some tweaks, maybe we can address some of the speeding issues. So there's a willingness to look at solutions that are not your typical solutions, but that are solutions where if we come to the table seeking to be creative and seeking to find resolution, we're doing that. from a customer service standpoint, I can tell you we haven't had any negative interactions in the last number of years with the region in terms of how they're interacting with us. I think tonight was important for them to hear some of the comments that were made, both by yourself, Your Worship, as well as other members of council in terms of what are priorities. I know Ron and I are in constant contact on some of those. I was making notes and sending emails during the meeting, both to my colleagues in other municipalities in terms of whether it be the off-duty police officers, just to understand how that works a little bit better in Grimsby. And so I think where we can, we are going to bring things forward. You heard our guests highlight the pilot projects that we're looking on, specifically around Ontario Street. I've indicated that we want to be the first community they do those pilot projects with. So other than assuring you that as staff of the town, we are being diligent, we are hearing the concerns around the table, we are advocating on your behalf and the community's behalf, we can continue to play that liaising role where important and where the community wants us to do that. And I can assure you, again, both we and they, I think, heard loud and clear tonight some of the issues that require attention. And for those that know me from the staff perspective and council and the community, things can't happen quick enough. I know that's something that you also echo, Your Worship, and we continue to advocate for resolution and quicker action, and we'll do our best on that.
Thank you, Mike. Just one last comment for the people that have taken the time to come out this evening. Thank you. I just wanted to point out, if you didn't hear something tonight that you wanted to hear talked about, I can also reassure you that we tried to keep things at a fairly high level this evening in the discussions with the region. We did that purposefully, but I can tell you that we have taken a lot of time through Director Graham, through collaboration that we've had with other committees, active transportation, in highlighting a lot of concerns that we've heard from residents and that we know need to be identified, whether it's a stoplight at Stadelmeyer and King Street, whether it's a revisit of Drake Survey entrance and Ontario Street, whether it's a bad sight line at 30 Road and King Street. Those are all items that have been identified, and there has been a separate list sent to the region through Director Graham and through Walter that will be spoken about as we move forward with the Transportation Master Plan and further dialogue. So I just wanted to make that comment, that just because we didn't talk about it tonight doesn't mean it's not on our radar. Notice of motions. Are there any notices of motion? Seeing none. Are there any announcements? Seeing none, we have no closed session for the evening. There being no further business, I call this meeting adjourned.